6 years after we broke up, I saw my ex-girlfriend again at our class reunion. Time had changed us both, but the moment our eyes met, it felt like the past came rushing back. I wasn't sure if it would be closure, chaos, or something in between, but I knew this night wouldn't end the way it started. Arm in arm with her younger boyfriend, she announced their engagement publicly. Instantly, the private room erupted in cheers and jeers. Everyone was waiting to see how I, the ex, would react to this awkward spectacle. Instead of causing a scene, I calmly sent over a $1,000 engagement gift. My ex lost her composure and pulled me aside, whispering urgently, "It's been 6 years. Isn't that enough time for you to move on? I'm just playing along with him to satisfy his family back home. After this, I'll marry you." Later, when she found out I was already married with a child, she broke down in tears, pleading for me to come back. The room was stunned by my unexpected reaction. No one had imagined that I, who once adored Olivia so much, would handle things this way. I couldn't stand seeing her cozy up with Ethan. In the past, I would have been insanely jealous, even if they were just grabbing a bite together. Soon, our classmates, always hungry for drama, began teasing and cheering again, some praising my generosity, others admiring my devotion. After all, it wasn't every day you saw an ex-boyfriend give a $1,000 gift at an engagement. In the middle of the chaos, Ethan smirked triumphantly, while Olivia's expression turned unreadable. After a brief silence, she pulled me aside once more. "Jack," she said softly, "it's been 6 years. Isn't that enough time for you to move on? Ethan and I are just going through the motions. His family back home is pressuring him to marry. This is the last time I'll help him. After this, I'll marry you." I couldn't help but laugh bitterly. I had lost count of how many times she'd made these empty promises. Every time Olivia got close to Ethan, she'd promised to cook for me or to marry me, and every time, I swallowed her sweet words. But now, I wasn't interested in her empty cake anymore. I refused to take the easy way out. We had broken up long ago. Whether her relationship with Ethan was real or a farce didn't concern me. I quietly withdrew my hand and said coolly, "Olivia, we're over. You don't owe me any explanation." For a moment, she was stunned before her eyes turned cold. "What do you mean we're over? We've been in a Cold War for years, haven't we?" I found it laughable. A Cold War lasting 6 years? In truth, I had blocked and deleted her 6 years ago, sent a breakup email, and cleared out my things from our shared apartment. If she had cared at all, she would have noticed something was wrong. Besides, our mutual friends had accepted our split long ago. It was only Olivia clinging to denial. I didn't bother arguing further. With a cold laugh, I turned to leave. If I'd known this reunion would go this way, I wouldn't have come at all. As soon as I left the private room, Olivia and Ethan chased after me. Ethan rushed ahead to block my path, putting on a fake concerned look. "Brother Jack, why are you leaving so suddenly? It's a good reunion. Are you still hung up on what happened 6 years ago? If you're feeling guilty, I can apologize for you," he said, deliberately stressing 6 years ago. At that, Olivia's face darkened. She instinctively shielded Ethan and glared at me. "Jack, why are you so petty? How can you hold a grudge over something so small?" I couldn't help but think how trivial my life seemed to Olivia. 6 years ago, because Ethan claimed he was afraid of the dark and wouldn't go downstairs for medicine, Olivia left me stranded on the highway on our wedding day, almost causing me to get hit by oncoming traffic. I trudged through a 3-hour snowstorm to reach the venue, arriving a complete mess and having to cancel the wedding in front of everyone, utterly humiliated. I even caught a severe fever from the cold. During all that, Olivia never checked on me. Her heart and eyes belonged solely to Ethan. She even spent the night at his place, caring for him after his trauma. Ethan later posted about it on social media, turning me into a laughingstock. That was the 99th time Olivia abandoned me for Ethan, and it broke me. I accepted a job transfer to the States and stayed away for 6 years. I knew Ethan was trying to stir up old wounds, hoping to provoke an angry reaction. But this time, I wasn't about to explode. I calmly replied, "There's nothing to be angry about. Olivia and I ended things 6 years ago, and I'm doing just fine now." Yet, Ethan insisted I was upset, continuing in a pretentious tone. "Brother Jack, don't get me wrong. My engagement to Olivia is just for show, to please my relatives back home. If it bothers you, I can cancel the engagement party." Before he could finish, Olivia interrupted. "No way, Ethan. That would be too embarrassing." I found it amusing that Olivia knew canceling a wedding last minute was humiliating, yet she never considered how embarrassing it was for me back then. She knew a runaway bride would make me lose face, yet she still abandoned me for Ethan, leaving me humiliated in front of everyone. Noticing my disgust, Olivia faltered and bit her lip before softening her tone. "Jack, Ethan needs me. I can't just ignore him." Meanwhile, Ethan played the hero, taking off his engagement ring and handing it to me with fake sincerity. "Brother Jack, this ring originally belonged to you. Now that you're back, I should return it to its rightful owner." On the surface, he pretended nobility, but he was merely showing off. Olivia glanced at the familiar ring and smirked. "Jack, remember, I had this ring specially made for you." It was true. The ring had been designed for me by Olivia, but I never wore it. Just because Ethan liked it, she handed it over to him, and he wore it ever since. I let out a cold sneer and tossed the diamond ring into a nearby trash can. I don't want something someone else has worn, I declared as I turned to leave, not wasting any more words. As I was about to walk away, Olivia's eyes flickered. She quickly ran after me, grabbed my hand, and said, "Jack, wait." In that moment, she felt a prick and looked down to see a wedding ring glittering on my finger. "Jack, what do you mean by ignoring me? I've already agreed to marry you. What more do you want?" I said, staying cold. "Do whatever you want, but don't stop me from returning to my wife and child." With that, I shook off Olivia's hand and turned to leave. Olivia became anxious. "Jack, what do you mean? Explain yourself clearly," she called, nearly chasing after me. At that moment, Ethan suddenly collapsed, clutching his head and feigning pain while grabbing onto Olivia's clothes. "Olivia, my head hurts so much," he moaned. Immediately, Olivia halted her pursuit and rushed to Ethan with a worried expression. "Ethan, what's wrong? Did you drink too much?" she asked. "No, he's just sick from the alcohol. I'll take him to a nearby hotel to rest," she explained. Olivia glanced at me, guilt mixed with hope for my approval. I found it laughable. Was she really trying to justify herself? Before she could say more, I interrupted sharply. "Go if you want. You don't need my permission. Remember, we broke up long ago." Olivia was stunned, not expecting this reaction. In the past, whenever I knew she'd be alone with Ethan, I'd scramble in jealousy because I still loved her. But now that my feelings were gone, I didn't care who she was with. Hearing this, Olivia's voice quickened. "Jack, aren't you worried about me going to a hotel alone with Ethan?" I knew she wanted me to intervene, just like I used to beg her not to leave. In the past, whenever I tried to stop her, she'd accuse me of being controlling and narrow-minded, claiming that a dirty mind sees dirt everywhere. Now that I was letting her be free, why was she suddenly upset? I looked at her with a cold smile. "You're just my ex. Why should I worry about you?" Olivia's face went pale, and she began to speak, but Ethan interrupted, complaining about his headache. Olivia then turned her attention back to Ethan, helping him, and shot me a cold look. "Jack, you said it yourself. Don't regret it later. Let's go, Ethan. I'll take you to a hotel." With that, Olivia supported Ethan and stormed off. I knew she was trying to spark jealousy like before, but this time I simply turned away, heading back to the hotel to see my wife and daughter. This trip, which included a class reunion, was mainly to take my family on vacation. I thought back. If Olivia hadn't driven me away 6 years ago, I'd never have met my wife, Emma, or had our lovely daughter, Lily. Emma and I met on the streets of Paris when I was injured and wandering. I accidentally bumped into her and quickly apologized. Not only did she forgive me, but she also bought me a hot cup of milk tea, comforting me and reminding me that life was beautiful. We exchanged contact information, and she listened to my troubles while I shared my life with her. Unlike Olivia, Emma always greeted me with a warm smile, gentle and kind. With her encouragement, I moved past the shadow of my failed relationship. We eventually got together, and our adorable Lily was born. Over the years, my wife and daughter have been my motivation, and just thinking about seeing them again lifted my spirits. But as soon as I arrived at the hotel, I ran into Olivia and Ethan. They were staying there too. Seeing me, Olivia was stunned. "Why are you here?" she demanded, while Ethan immediately stirred up trouble. "Olivia, Jack must have realized his mistake and followed us to apologize," Ethan blurted out. At that, Olivia's eyes lit up, and the corner of her mouth curled slightly, though her tone remained arrogant. "Jack, weren't you so tough earlier? Regretting it already? You even followed us here. Well, if you just apologize properly, maybe I'll forgive you." I looked at her self-absorbed expression with disgust and laughed coldly. "Don't flatter yourself. I just happen to be staying here." Olivia snorted. "This is a couple's hotel. You're staying here? Who are you trying to fool?" I was about to retort when the door behind me opened. Emma stepped out, smiling gently. "Honey, you're back." "What? Honey?" Olivia froze, her voice trembling when she noticed the matching wedding ring on Emma's finger. Her face went even paler. "A wedding ring? Jack, you really got married." But soon Olivia regained her cold demeanor, looking down at Emma with disdain. "So you're Jack's wife? You don't look like much. So what if you're married? How long have you been together?" I interjected. "Jack and I have 18 years of history. How could you even compare?" Olivia sneered. "Jack loves me the most. He's just playing around with you. He left the country because we fought, and he found you out of spite. You're just a rebound. Otherwise, why would he come back home? It's obviously for me," she continued. "Listen, Jack, coming back to me is only a matter of time. If you're smart, you'll leave now and avoid the embarrassment of being dumped later." I was speechless at her ridiculousness. Emma glanced at Olivia as if she were an idiot. Despite her anger, Emma maintained her inherent gentleness. She linked her arm with mine, claiming her place, and smiled graciously at Olivia. "Jack, you're in the past now. I am his wife, and you're just an ex, unworthy of mention." Olivia's face turned red with anger. She raised her hand to slap Emma. You're just my replacement. Jack loves me the most. How dare you talk back?" As her hand swung toward Emma, I reached out and blocked it, striking Olivia instead. Olivia, that's enough. Turning to Emma, I asked coldly, "Honey, are you okay? Are you hurt?" Olivia, her cheek reddened, looked at me in disbelief. She couldn't understand why I cared only about Emma. Tears welled in her eyes as she cried. "Jack, you hit me. You hit me for another woman? Is this how you repay me after all I've endured? Do you have any idea how I've suffered these years?" I watched as Olivia stormed off, dragging Ethan behind her like a discarded trophy, and I couldn't help but smirk. It was amazing how she still thought the world revolved around her, even after everything that had happened. I held Emma's hand as we walked back to our hotel room. True to form, Emma stayed calm after the confrontation with Olivia. With her gentle smile that always melted my heart, she whispered, "You handled that well, honey. Some people just can't let go of the past." I kissed her forehead to reassure her she was my only focus, even though I knew deep down that Olivia wouldn't give up easily. The next morning, while we were having breakfast at the hotel restaurant, Olivia appeared again, this time alone. She looked worn out, but still maintained that arrogant air. Without hesitation, she sat at a nearby table and started talking as if Emma didn't even belong. "Jack, we need to talk. We can't just leave things like this." Emma squeezed my hand, urging me to ignore her, but Olivia pressed on. "Do you really think you can just erase me from your life, Jack? We share a history. Without me, you wouldn't be the man you are today." Finally, Emma spoke calmly. "Olivia, it's clear Jack has moved on. I see no reason for these interruptions." Olivia laughed mockingly and pointed at Emma, as if she were a cheap imitation. "Moved on? Don't make me laugh. Jack will never forget what we had. No matter what he says, I'm the woman he'll always love." My patience wore thin. I looked straight into her eyes and said firmly, "Olivia, enough. I owe you nothing. You had your chance and you blew it. I'm happy with my family, something you'll never understand. So please, just leave us alone." But Olivia wouldn't stop. She abruptly stood up, slamming her hands on the table. "You think you can just discard me after everything I did for you? I sacrificed so much, and now you're here playing the perfect husband and father with her." Though Emma was hurt, she maintained her composure, and I replied, "I didn't sacrifice what you sacrificed. Our relationship, Ethan's involvement, even my dignity on our wedding day. You didn't give up anything but my patience. Now what do you want? More attention? An apology? You're not getting it." Before she could answer, Ethan appeared in the restaurant, visibly uncomfortable. He grabbed her arm, trying to pull her away. "Olivia, what are you doing? Why are you humiliating yourself? He's made it clear he wants nothing to do with you. Let's go." But Olivia yanked her arm free, pointing at Ethan with disdain. "You're the reason for all of this. If it weren't for you, I never would have lost Jack. You promised me the world, but all you gave me was shame." Ethan, clearly embarrassed, attempted to defend himself, but it was obvious he was tired of the drama. He left, abandoning Olivia alone. Left by herself, Olivia looked at me with tear-filled eyes, yet still had that manipulative glint. "Jack, I know I messed up. I know I hurt you. I was confused, young, and immature. Please, give me another chance. I can be the woman you deserve." Finally, Emma, who had stayed quiet until now, spoke in a calm tone that cut deep. "Olivia, you need to understand that the world doesn't revolve around you. You had Jack, but you chose someone else. Now he's my husband, and nothing you say or do will change that." Olivia burst into tears, but I felt no pity. I knew her tears weren't genuine regret, only frustration from not getting her way. I decided to end it once and for all. "Olivia, it's over. Don't contact me again. I have a life and a family, and while I hope you find peace someday, it won't be with me." I took Emma's hand, and we left, leaving Olivia defeated. As we walked through the hotel, I couldn't help but reflect on how much my life had improved. Emma was everything Olivia never could be: kind, loving, and dependable. For the first time in years, I felt like I had finally closed that painful chapter of my life. When we returned to our room, Lily ran up to me with her innocent smile, and I realized I already had everything I ever needed. In the weeks that followed, Emma and I enjoyed a peaceful trip with Lily. We visited beautiful places and made memories that would last a lifetime. Olivia and Ethan never reappeared, and I finally felt a weight lift from my shoulders as the past faded away. Back home, I returned to my routine with my family. Emma continued to be my supportive partner, and Lily's laughter filled our days with joy. Every time I looked at them, I felt grateful for the new direction my life had taken. The pain of the past no longer held me back. One afternoon, while working in my office, I received an email from a familiar address. It was Olivia's. At first, I hesitated to open it, but I knew I had to face it maturely. The email was long, filled with apologies and regret. She wrote that she'd reflected on everything and finally understood how much she'd hurt me. She said she was trying to move on, but the pain of losing me still consumed her. I read it calmly, and instead of anger or resentment, I felt a deep emptiness. It was strange how someone who once meant so much now felt so distant and irrelevant. I closed the email without replying, knowing that any response would only stir up old wounds. Months later, I heard rumors that Olivia and Ethan had broken up. It didn't surprise me. Their relationship had always been shallow and manipulative. I also heard she was facing some difficulties, but I chose not to delve any further. Her life no longer concerned me. I had my own family and a future to build. Over time, I realized it wasn't Olivia who needed forgiveness, it was me. I had to forgive myself for letting that toxic relationship drain so much of my energy. When I finally did, I felt a lightness I'd never known before. Looking back now, I see that everything I went through was necessary to bring me to where I am today. Emma and Lily are my world, my reason to keep growing and striving. The love we share is genuine, honest, and built on mutual respect and trust. I don't know where Olivia is or how her life turned out, but I hope she finds her own peace someday. As for me, I have everything I've ever wanted, a loving family, a warm home, and the certainty that my past no longer defines me. Sometimes life takes us down painful and winding roads, but in the end, everything falls into place. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that true love doesn't bind, suffocate, or hurt. It sets you free. And that freedom is something I've finally found. A few days after returning home, I found myself settling back into the simple rhythm of everyday life. The mornings were quieter, the air lighter. I was no longer looking over my shoulder, waiting for the past to catch up. Instead, I was finally present, in my own life, in my own peace. I'd wake up to Emma humming softly in the kitchen, the smell of coffee floating through the air. Lily would bounce into our room full of energy, dragging her stuffed bunny along and asking me to make pancakes with extra syrup. It was in those small, ordinary moments that I realized just how far I'd come. I no longer needed dramatic gestures or chaotic passion to feel alive. What I had now was real, and I wasn't about to let anything threaten that again. I found strength in the calm, in the honesty of our home, in knowing that I didn't have to pretend to be someone I wasn't just to earn someone else's love. One evening, after putting Lily to bed, Emma and I sat out on the back porch, watching the stars flicker in the sky. She leaned her head on my shoulder and said, "I'm proud of you. You've come a long way, Jack." And I knew what she meant. Not just moving on from Olivia, but from who I used to be with her. That version of me had always been trying to fix things, to hold together something that was already broken. I used to confuse pain with passion and chaos with love. But now, sitting next to Emma, I understood what love really looked like. It was steady. It was safe. It was soft words and deep trust, not loud arguments and second-guessing. As the days passed, I continued to focus on the future. I started a new project at work that I was passionate about. Emma was exploring new creative ventures of her own. We were growing individually while still growing together, and that was something I had never experienced in any past relationship. Every night, Lily would beg for just one more bedtime story, and I always gave in. It was our thing, our quiet, beautiful tradition. Then, one Sunday afternoon, we took a drive to a nearby lake. It was one of those warm, golden days where the sunlight made everything glow. Lily ran ahead, chasing butterflies and laughing so freely it echoed across the water. Emma slipped her hand into mine and smiled. "Remember when you thought your whole world had ended?" she asked gently. I nodded. "And now look at you," she said. "You built a new one." And she was right. My life with Olivia had been like living in a storm, unpredictable, intense, and always on the edge of collapse. It was all-consuming, but it left nothing behind. My life with Emma was the complete opposite. It wasn't flashy or dramatic, but it was full of love, full of laughter, full of peace. A few weeks later, I found myself sorting through old boxes in the garage, things I'd shoved away and forgotten about. At the bottom of one, I found an old photo album. Pictures of me and Olivia, back when things were still good, back when I thought love meant saving someone no matter how much of yourself you had to lose in the process. I stared at those photos for a long time. I didn't feel anger or sadness. I just felt nothing. And I think that was the biggest sign of healing. The past no longer had power over me. It was just that, a past. I closed the album and put it back in the box, sealing it shut. Not because I wanted to hide it, but because I didn't need it anymore. That chapter had been written, and I had finally moved on to a better one. Months turned into seasons. Lily started kindergarten and made friends easily, always the first to share her crayons and giggle during story time. Emma and I would attend parent nights together, holding hands in the back of the classroom like two proud kids ourselves. Every milestone, every little joy, we celebrated it all. We made up for the years we'd both lost trying to survive other people's chaos. One night, after Lily had fallen asleep and the house was quiet, Emma turned to me and said, "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if Olivia hadn't cheated? If you two had stayed together?" I thought about it for a second and shook my head. No, because even if she hadn't, I still would have never been truly happy. It was never about one mistake. It was about the way she made me feel, small, unworthy, always chasing her love. "You make me feel whole just by being near." Emma leaned in and kissed me softly. "I'm glad you found your way to me." "So am I whispered. From then on, I stopped wondering what Olivia was doing, who she was with, or whether she regretted her choices. It didn't matter anymore. I had spent too much of my life trying to be someone's savior, someone's second choice, someone's emotional crutch. But with Emma and Lily, I was simply enough. No fixing, no proving, just being. Eventually, I stopped checking my inbox for another surprise message from Olivia. I deleted her contact, archived the old emails, and cleared out the digital remnants of our past. I even blocked her on social media, not out of spite, but out of peace. That part of my life had run its course. Sometimes, life throws storms at you just to teach you how to stand on your own. Olivia had been that storm. But Emma? She was my calm. And Lily? She was the light that came after the rain. Today, when I tell people about my past, I do so without shame. I'm not bitter. I'm not angry. I just see it as part of the journey that led me here. To this life, I wouldn't trade for anything. A life where laughter fills the kitchen, where bedtime stories are sacred, and where love isn't loud. It's steady, and it's real. And if there's one final truth I've learned from it all, it's this. People can leave scars on your heart, but they don't get to define who you become. You do. So to anyone holding on to a love that hurts more than it heals, know this. Letting go isn't failure. Sometimes, it's the bravest thing you'll ever do. And on the other side of that pain, there's a version of life waiting for you that's so much better than you ever imagined. I found mine. And I hope, someday, you'll find yours too.